Welcome to 40 Fit Food. My name is Oscar and this is Mimi.
Hi, we're here every Tuesday to give you fitness tips and advice on how you can continue to do Kung Fu, Tai Chi, or whatever your choice of exercise regimen may be, well into your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and beyond.
Went all the way to 80, I like that. And as far as whatever that we're going to talk about today is in relation to...
Drum roll.
literally drum roll. In relation to something that we just did, which is start celebrating for Chinese New Year, the year of the rat. I'm going to stay excited. Rat. I said it.
Oscar has a bit of a rat phobia, so it's going to be a tough year for him. But we did just celebrate Chinese New Year. We still have shows to go, but it was a filled weekend of basically shows back to back of lion dancing. And Oscar actually just wrapped in December over 60 plus shows of lion dancing. And so he was, and normally is, the tail.
Right. There's two parts of the lion in lion dancing, the head and the tail. Usually here, if you could imagine us being covered here, I'm covered by a cloth, and then Mimi's got a big lion paper mache head, and she's making it blink and do all this stuff. And so since some of the people who watch us on 40 Fit Food do traditional Kung Fu, part of that includes lion dancing, not just for Chinese New Year but for openings of restaurants, weddings, celebrations. And so this is part one of a two-parter.
Heads or tails?
Heads or tails, lion dancing. And we're going to start off with the tail. So where do we start with the tail?
Well, we start off with the tail. I always tell people that when you and I used to do lion dancing, especially at Epcot or any shows, we're always going around, and every time, all I ever hear, no sympathy for me, you know, who has to carry the lion head. They're always like, oh, I'd hate to be the tail, the back guy, because his back must be really hurting. Right.
And, you know, no surprise actually with that, because there are millions of people in America, and I guess throughout the world, who suffer from back pain. And so they probably can't even imagine being in that position.
Right.
However, we have successfully done it. We have successfully done it into our 40s and with really no injuries. I've never really hurt myself doing lion dancing. I've hurt myself doing other stupid stuff. So let's talk about that position that the tail is in. If without me even coaching it, it kind of looks sort of like this. And if you can imagine this and then walking forward, side to side, jumping, and then having to have someone jump on you, then you can see why possibly people would think, well, this is going to be really bad for your back. But really all it is a hinge, an athletic position, the same position you would deadlift from, just a little bit more with that upper back horizontal, because you have to give the appearance of a lion back. A lion back, yeah, that's right. Exactly. So how do we get into the hinge position? First thing is, let's talk about our balance of our feet. Mimi's going to show you from the front, I'll be here from the side, but basically, you want to find what we call the tripod foot, which is find that knuckle under the big toe, the knuckle under the pinky toe, and your heel, and that forms a tripod. Lift your toes up from there, and think about the outside edges of your feet kind of making contact with the floor, and then place your feet on the floor. And what you should have is a nice, stable foot to be able to balance on, and also to put your entire load of your body on. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is hinging. So the hinge is, if you find the crease of your hips, you're just going to push back, chop into that, bam, kung fu chop into it, and then shift those hips back, try to get that spine straight. Remember our tripod foot, and then kind of in this shortstop position, hands go slide down the thigh to the top of the knees, and then the forearms on the thighs. And then this is a position that we can kind of hang out for. Now, if you're in this position and it hurts, stop, stand up and keep watching. But if this feels good, then we can now recruit our legs even more by imagining that tripod foot and either spreading the floor out or kind of dragging the feet in, or a combination of kind of both, a pulsing between both. And really what you're starting to do is get your legs to bear the brunt of the weight with your body this way. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so that is kind of the hinge position of the lion. It gets more complicated with footwork and jumps and all that stuff. That's not what we're talking about.
We're not quite ready for that yet.
We're not going to talk about that. But really it's about being able to take your center of mass, which is kind of like a few inches below your belly button, and just shift it back. and then have your posterior, which is your butt and your hamstrings, and then the rest of your legs kind of supporting that, almost like a spring that's continuously moving. That's kind of the way that, again, my way, not the only way or the way, it's just my way of doing it over time, of kind of shifting the weight onto the legs. Make sense so far?
Makes sense so far to me.
Okay, the next part has to do with breathing, because you can also recruit your upper body. So we've done some stuff on this concept of decompression breathing, which is that foundation training. I forget the episode of 45th Food that's on there, but you can look back on our archives and take a look at it. But the concept is of expanding and elevating the ribs to support your upper body. So I'm going to get into that hinge position again. And if you see me from the side, I'm going to now try to expand and elevate my ribs when I inhale. And when I exhale, I try to maintain it. I can make this very challenging and intense, or if it's in line dancing, I just kind of get into it and I make adjustments throughout the routine. The routine can be anywhere from 5 to like 15 minutes. It depends on what the show entails, what the performance entails for the lion tail. But all of those concepts combined then translate into being able to be in that position and having people point and say, geez, I really feel bad for that.
Yeah, but you get all those sympathies.
I get all the sympathy, but I also get some pats on the butt. Not that I really like that, but I'm not opposed to it. And so that's the concepts for the lion tail. Is there anything that I'm missing?
No, I just wanted to kind of mention that, for people who are like, well, I kind of want to train to be the tail, but also you mentioned shortstop earlier, like that position's also athletic position.
Correct. Actually, yes. So let's take all the extremes along the continuum here. We have kind of where we're starting out with a lion dance as a tail, and you're here. It's kind of the extreme of being in this position. It's not very functional, right, for you to be in that position, but we're doing a traditional lion dance. But then along that continuum, you take it to, in football, the linemen who are about to boom, shoot off, or anyone who's about to sprint, you're kind of in a hinge position with your feet split. Basketball players, right before they're about to jump. In baseball, the shortstop player who's ready. Even as we continue and taking it away from something that's not even athletic, but still day-to-day functional, brushing your teeth. Like you're over the sink, over here, just getting into that position. Some people, and some of my clients have complained about this, is like, oh man, even when I go to brush my teeth, I hurt my back.
Yes.
So it can go from something as beneficial as brushing your teeth to something that as really cool and weird as lion dancing, and it works for all of them. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so that athletic stance is kind of the building block for so many different things, which is why it's a good thing to practice. So in terms of practice, how often is it like you set a timer, or how many times do you breathe? What's a good thing? And obviously, if you're not in pain, that's the main thing. So if I were to get into my athletic position and I want to just do this one, and you're going to do your decompression breathing, right, what would you recommend? Yeah,
first thing, like you said, make sure that you don't get in a position that hurts. You're not going to
don't hold that painful position.
You won't learn anything
tough
from
it
that.
out.
But breathing, I think, is one of the best way to think of your repetitions. Instead of a number or a time, you can think, you know what, I'm going to do 5 breaths. And the more experience you get with your breathing, the longer you can draw that out. So I can take a breath, which would take me maybe 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out, to 3 seconds in, 6 seconds out, or 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. And so the better you get at the breathing, the longer you can make the breaths last, and that's a great way to test yourself for your repetitions.
Yeah, and it's also getting 2 benefits. So 1 is you're learning to hold that position, but 2, you're working on your breathing, which is just going to help with your endurance and your chi and your strength, everything, and it's good for everything. But one thing I did also want to mention was I noticed when you did this position, right? Basically, you did your hinge and you did your breath. And I think a lot of people's inclination is to take that breath and then exhale into it and kind of collapse into that. So we definitely don't want to do that.
Right. And this is just, with that decompression breathing, we try to expand and elevate when we inhale. And then when we exhale, we try to maintain that expansion and elevation. And the way that you do that is by kind of dragging your belly button away from your pant line. This is not how I would breathe if I was going for a max deadlift, like putting as much weight as I can on a trap bar deadlift and trying to deadlift that. But it is a way to breathe while in a position that I'm going to be moving in and out of, and also something that I can manage the volume of. But so if I look at me from the side, when I take that breath in, you should see my spine elongate and my ribs expand. And when I exhale, I'm actually drawing my belly button away from my pant line and trying to even create more expansion and elevation, or at the bare minimum, maintain that. And trying to just fill as much volume of air into that.
Kind of like the Batman shell.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to think about it. Kind of like the Batman shell. And so there is no way around it. Anything like this, though, from the line dancing to this type of breathing and positioning, there's a learning curve, and you've got to put in your time to do it, and always manage like any pains, and don't work through the pain, work around it. We can always find the right position for you to be in. So if you need help, that's what we are for. And why we do at Wallum Kung Fu like introductory classes of like, here's how you bend over to get into the line dance position. So
yeah, we don't just throw anybody under there.
They used to.
There's a very
they used to
specific way of teaching and a process. So it's very scientific. But in any case, that is kind of our take on what we thought would be fun this week is to incorporate some of our Chinese New Year stuff. Please check out our YouTube channel because we do also have shows posted. We have some highlight things coming out. Follow us on Instagram, and you'll also get to see some clips of Oscar in the tail, more than likely, shaking his tail, doing the lion dance, and wishing everyone a happy new year. We thought we'd do a heads and tails thing today. I guess the coin toss went to tails. So next week we'll be tackling the lion head so that you could kind of see what the differences are, the different techniques, and how that also translates into something as simple as brushing your teeth.
Excellent. So tune in next week for part 2.
All right. Don't forget to subscribe and share and tell all your friends. Let us know if you have any questions. Bye.